Hey y'all, we're back with my 66 Mustang preparing for the Hot Rod Power Tour. And today I wanted to tell you about my brake assembly, which I'm pretty happy with. And I'm just talking about my front brakes. On the rear, I have a 9-inch axle I got from Speedway Motors. And I got one of their disc brake kits. And I got mixed feelings on it. It's like a Eldorado style brake caliper, so it has emergency brake is like built into it. Anyways, it's like really difficult to bleed, but I like the convenience. Anyways, I want to tell you about these front disc brakes. And these calipers and rotors are from a more modern Mustang, a 2011 to 2014. These would be from a GT. I'll list all the part numbers below, but this is based on a conversion kit that would use a Granada spindle. And there's a guy in the Vintage Mustang forums, Dave Oxide, that sells these kind of machined aluminum adapters to fit a more modern brake caliper to these older spindles. Now I went in a roundabout way to get there. I had the Ford Granada disc brake conversion on my 66. That was super popular and really cheap when I did it in the late 90s. You go to a junkyard and find the whole spindle and brake assembly, the disc brake, the caliper, the rotor, the whole shebang, pop it out of a Ford Granada. The ball joints are the same. You can put it in your Mustang. You needed a little sleeve or adapter for the tie rod end. But other than that, you were good to go. Steering geometry was probably a little off, but you got yourself disc brakes. Anyways, so this kit would use that Granada spindle, and you could put your more modern brakes on there. Now, while I had those old Ford Granada brakes and I had the Granada spindle, I actually updated the spindle a few years back. And if you can see it in here, the CSRP spindle. So it has the steering geometry to the tie rod end, just like a 65-66 Mustang, but it's got the bigger diameter spindle, which is a big advantage instead of a smaller spindle that would come on a 65-66. So in effect, and of course it had the mounting provisions that were like a Granada. So this spindle was originally intended, you could keep your 65-66 steering geometry, but have Granada disc brakes. So it's in effect a Granada spindle, just with better geometry. So this Granada conversion would work. So the aluminum adapter goes to the spindle, and if you can see, it goes right to the caliper and centers it up nicely. Now, like I said, I think it's 2011 to 2014 caliper and rotor. I'll put a screenshot, I'll tell you of what I bought, because I got almost all of this from Rock Auto, including the brake line, which I think was from more of like a mid-90s Mustang. Now it has the fitting up here was tricky, right? Because it was already adapted for the flex line from a Granada, so it had like a slightly bigger piece on it. In this brake line has that up there, but then where it hooks to the caliper, it's with a banjo nut. Anyways, I'll put all those parts there. That all worked. And so I've got the big spindle, like the bigger size spindle. You use Granada bearings. So a 65-66 hub for drum brakes with the larger Granada bearings, and that fits on the Granada style spindle, the big spindle. And then your more modern rotor will fit right over that. Now I did have to get, I think if you have the right studs, it'll center this larger rotor. But I got this aluminum centering ring. I think I just got it on eBay. There's guys that'll sell all different sizes, and I just measured the difference. I got the centering ring, and that worked well. And then this is a 2-piston caliper, and the rotor is 13, it's like 13 1/4. I think it's some kind of weird metric, but it's a little over 13 inches. And I have 17-inch wheels here, and it just barely fits. In fact, with my wheels, I actually use a hub-centric ring, which isn't really necessary. But I also have to use, man, this is a really small spacer. I think it might be 1/8 of an inch spacer, because it was just touching the calipers here. And spacing it out that much didn't really change any clearance issues I did have. But man, on my wheels I had to actually move the weights. I don't think it was those, it might have been these, but they were in further originally, and they were hitting just the edge of the caliper there. So anyways, the things you might want to know, and again, I'll leave a link to Dave Oxide's post on the Vintage Mustang forum, but this centering ring, at least I needed it. Some say it works, it still centers on the studs. And you can, if you get like the, I don't know if it's Shelby or whatever from those years Mustang, they have a 14-inch rotor with like 6-piston Brembo calipers. No way that's fitting on a 17-inch wheel, because these just barely fit. But it looks great when it's all together. And so I already had these kind of more modern adjustable tie rod ends, and they still fit in here. So these were, you can drop them a little bit. It's to kind of help with the bump steer that you might get with a Granada conversion. But again, I've got the steering arm that's more like a 65, 66 Mustang. So there's a better look at the adjustable tie rod. It's upside down, but a bare adjustable tie rod. One other thing I want to talk about is, you know, in the instructions for this kit, you just kind of do away with the dust shield back here. But I just kind of tested out several different versions. This is actually a GM dust shield, but it's, you know, the right diameter. It's a little oversized, and I was able just to clock it in there just right, so it cleared the caliper. And I'll leave the part number for this as well. I just got it on Amazon, but as you can see how it clears, so that's the clearance it already had right for the caliper, there to there. I don't know what car it's actually designed for, but it fit on here really well. I did have to, you know, there's 3 bolts that mount it right to the spindle. I had to put a little spacer in there just to get it to fit just right. And there's a left and right, and they worked great for me. So in a previous video from a couple years ago, I talked about the master cylinder I have, which is off of an early 90s Fox body, but it has kind of the biggest bore size I could really find that was kind of a direct bolt-in for a Mustang. Again, it's a modern kind of dual reservoir master cylinder. Now at the time I got that, because I don't know, I had a bit of a soft pedal, a long travel pedal, I guess I'd say, because I think the Granada brakes I had on here, plus once I added the rear disc brakes, it was just taking, at least at the time I thought, too much fluid, right? And I just needed a bigger diameter. I wasn't too worried about the pedal effort, but a bigger diameter, push more volume of fluid. Anyways, all that said, these, even though they're twin piston, 2-piston, I think the piston in that Granada was so big, if you do the math on it, this is really close, maybe even smaller in like surface area, so the volume of fluid is not really any different. My pedal is solid, but it's not excessive or anything. It feels like it should. I have earlier videos on my front suspension. I did a whole series. This is a Global West coilover kit. If you're interested in seeing that, just check out my other videos. All right, I want to give you a better shot of how they fit with these wheels here. And as you can see, they fit really good. It fills up that wheel well all the way, and the clearance, it's there, but really tight. You know, I've driven a lot of miles, hundreds, maybe over 1,000 since I've done the brake upgrade here, and no issues for clearance. I did have to add that small spacer in there. I'll put the exact size of it. If I can find the exact part I got for that spacer. It's probably from like CJ Pony Parts. I'll put that in the description. But there you have it. It's great because, you know, aftermarket brakes are cool, but I kind of like the idea of having OE style brakes from a more modern car. Brake pads easy to get. Any parts you'd have to replace, a caliper, a rotor, you know, they're really easy to get that way. And all the parts I needed, at least at the time I got them, which was a couple of years ago, all pretty affordable compared to an aftermarket brake kit. And you're not going to fit any bigger rotor in these wheels here. Okay, for next week's video, I think I'm going to tell you a little bit about the interior. Again, I'm preparing for Hot Rod Power Tour, so had to build in some comforts here. I have vintage air conditioning, worked in some modern electronics. I got a little Apple CarPlay screen. I added this emergency brake handle and some power windows, some other tricks I've added along the way, but I'll cover that next week. See y'all then.